of my favorite cuts, the strip. This is the Senku BMS 9 Plus. This Senku is beautiful in every way. I love to cook because of this. So the Senku Striploin, it is an absolutely phenomenal product. In fact, all of the products that I've ever gotten from Senku have been really extraordinary. The Striploin represents a kind of a unique challenge, and it's really fundamentally for one very specific reason. That's the dreaded vein end, where it's not necessarily really prudent just to keep lopping off strip steaks, even from an extraordinary product like the Senku Striploin. Personally, there's an ethical responsibility that I think that most good chefs feel to ensuring that we're not just throwing away parts of this extraordinary animal, right? We want to make sure in the restaurant world that we are fiscally responsible, maximize everything from the fat to the vein end to your gloriously delicious strip steaks. I'd like to really demonstrate a few different ways where we don't view that anatomical distinction as a problem, we view it as an opportunity. And we're gonna take this sucker out of the bag. Next, you wanna dry this sucker off. First of all, nice fat cap. I mean, just absolutely look at that. Even before it's squared off, you can see what's happening here, and it's amazing. There are a lot of different ways that people approach cutting strips. I'm gonna show you typically how we would do it, but again, some of this comes down to preference. What does need to happen is we're gonna have to remove the chain, right? This big guy right here. Now it looks scary because there's a little bit of red right there, but most of this is fat, and it's not wasted fat, it's not useless fat, and I'm really looking forward to showing you what we can do with some of that that's real practical. Okay, so we're just gonna go right in here and take care of that. I like to personally go ahead and square it off on this side. Now over here, this is gonna be the vein end side. You can always tell the vein end because you're gonna have that beautiful facing there, and then you're gonna have what looks like just a kind of a completely different steak on there. And in some ways it is kind of a different steak, but again, that's an opportunity. All right, right there. Oh my goodness, look at that. And look what I just did. I wasn't paying attention and I squared off the vein side, but we're gonna use that. So the vein goes right through here. It's kind of like a little C-shaped cartilagey guy right there. You don't wanna eat the vein. I promise you it's not a problem. What you can actually see too, that's really cool, are all the different sort of muscles that come together to make this cut. Each one of those has a slightly different character, and each one of them could have a slightly different use if you went down that road, which we're gonna kind of go down. Now I'm gonna square off the right side. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Again, beautiful marbling. This is a Senku BMS 9 Plus, and I just can't say enough about the extraordinary amount of balance here. So, you know, for people who really love a good robust steak, this is gonna do it for them. I like to really examine what Wagyu as an idea does very well. So from the Japanese perspective, you might say that that is this extraordinarily exclusive, high-end, very expensive cut of meat that is oriented to this very specific goal, i.e. fat content. Other ideas of Wagyu emerge that include this marbling and this extraordinary fat content, but also include notions of extraordinary balance. Australian Wagyu, for instance, tends to be a little bit more balanced, right? In terms of you've got really great, robust flavors of meat, and you've got extraordinary fat content. Decision-making time. A lot of people do things differently here. I'm gonna show you kind of what I do. So I'm gonna take the knife and I'm gonna go straight down here, okay? There is a bit of silver skin underneath this fat. I'm gonna do my best to kind of demonstrate that. Again, not waste. If you can see right here, just under that fat that I exposed, there's a little bit of a silver skin kind of right here. Essentially the same business we're dealing with a fillet or anything else. Okay. And this is sort of a sculpting time as well. Have fun with this. So I do it this way. In other words, I'm going down the side, which might appear unusual to some folks. I just find that to me, it's absolutely the best way I can ensure that I minimize anything that actually could be considered yield loss. And it just gives me a deeper sense of control. And of course, if you're a chef, it's all about a deep sense of control, right? So up top here, you're gonna see this, this beautiful fat cap right here. This is a decision-making time. I have seen perfectly good chefs, perfectly good restaurants that serve steaks, essentially just leave this entire fat cap on and go to town. I personally kind of like to level it off a little bit. Get some of the, we'll say, the sloppy bits off. Now this, candidly right here, because of where it is, not my favorite thing to use. So if you'll see right now, this is like literally the first thing that I'm gonna throw away. And it's so minimal. Okay, now at this stage, I can do a couple things. I can go ahead and start cutting strip steaks, or I could cut another line here and peel that off. I'm fully aware that there's gonna be some argument here as to whether or not I'm doing this the right way or the wrong way. I know that. I love a good thick strip steak. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go about a little bit more than an inch, and we're just gonna start going at it. Legitimately, if you're not excited by this, then you're in the wrong game. Every now and then you encounter an ingredient that is so phenomenally good that to not want to work with it calls into question like your motivations in general. If you don't want to work with that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you want to work with. That is beautiful. This Senku is amazing. Incredibly well balanced, just beautiful in every way. I love to cook because of this, because of the opportunity to work with products like this that are curated by people who care so much. This is the fruit of that labor, and it's amazing. As you can see, we're still maintaining that beautiful lacy marbling all the way through. Coming through, you're starting to see a change, a perfectly wonderful change. You're seeing a little bit kind of like what you might sort of call core fat kind of developing here. All right, we are starting to approach the vein, but we are still not there yet, which is amazing. I mean, that's yield. That is yield. Oh yeah. Now we are just about at the place where that vein's gonna come through. You could take your knife and you could cut just under that and notch it out and still have a steak. I wouldn't do that because you'll lose that fat right there, which is like part of the strip experience. But as you can see on this other side right here, we've definitely got that vein coming through down into here. And this is where we can do something else. You can take that out, roll it up, do like a strip roast, right, which is fantastic. You can break these individual muscles down, right? You could do a petite strip where you cut it in half, eliminate the vein right there, and then cut smaller steaks, maybe if you have a lunch business. But that's not what we're gonna do. You can see that muscle kind of come right through there. Follow the shape. Again, you're sort of sculpting, okay? So we're gonna come right here. We're gonna come right down into there, and I'm gonna pull that off just like that, okay? Now right here, this is our vein right here. So I'm just gonna come right through here and pull that vein off. So I want you to note that thus far, outside of what was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 ounces of the sloppy bits at the top, this is the only thing that I could say is not usable. That's extraordinary. A lot of times guys will ask me like, you know, where do you think of your ideas? How do you create? For me, a lot of it comes from a pretty solid foundation in cooking history. You find dishes throughout time that are essentially specially designed to help you solve the problem that you're facing today. There's an old, a wonderful dish of beef. It's called noisette. Noisette just means like little hazelnuts, little nuts, okay? And the idea of that, of course, is that you cut the beef into shapes that are essentially like noisette. There's also another one, Tornado. Of course, that's like medallion of beef. You can do the same thing here if you want to. In other words, you could do thin strips like this, pan-sear them. Great lunch steak, great for steak frite. But in this case, we're gonna do something a little bit more interesting, I think, and we're gonna do the noisettes. So here, we're just gonna take this, cut it like that. Oh my God, look at that. This, cut it like that. I'm gonna trim a little bit of that off right there, just to keep it sized well. So we've got these spectacular little meat nuts right there, little noisette. This is a super cool old dish. You know, like maybe our moms cooked like beef tips or something like that. This is a more sophisticated version of the same idea, and it offers you so much room on your menu. At the end of the day, this would be fantastic for brochette or kebabs or skewers. The opportunities here are really, really limitless, and you're still showcasing the integrity of this product in such a cool way, in such a phenomenal way. It provides you an entire other dish on your menu. To me, even at a restaurant like this, you know, people will often ask, what are you seasoning it with? The answer is salt. It's as simple as that. These products are so uniquely perfect. You kind of want to stay out of their way. You know, for me, I like really, really high heat, really developed Maillard reaction, Browning reaction, sear, right? And then I'm good. That's my sort of preference with that level of Wagyu. There are fewer things on the planet that could possibly be better than steak with mushroom and onions, particularly a steak of this quality. So we've done it a little bit differently. We've made a risotto out of black trumpet mushrooms and farro. We're just gonna be a little bit playful here. Basically, we made a mushroom duxelle with black trumpet and bound the risotto with that. Finished up with some like really nice spring onions. Keep it very light, very spring. As far as onions go, leeks are the king of onions. So we've got some grilled leeks. Then, the risotto itself doesn't have any cheese. So what we've done here to give a little acidity, because a steak loves a little bit of acidity, right? For sure, it's like why chimichurri is amazing. But in this particular case, we're going to have the cheese sort of set on the outside. It's toasted goat's cheese, right? And steak and goat's cheese, again, super amazing combination. We've got a spring onion emulsion here, which absolutely kills it with Wagyu. Wagyu, because it's so rich and fatty, it absolutely loves lightness, right? A demi-glace is going to be wonderful, but consider other things. Spring onion emulsion, that basically, it's all the alliums. We've got leek, we've got garlic, we've got green onion in there. As you can see, we've got a really lovely, nice, good dark crust. Oh my God, exactly how I like it. Man. All right, so this is just going to go straight onto the plate. Oh my God, that's perfect. So this is the New York strip, essentially with onions and mushrooms. Like, it couldn't be any simpler than that. Some of the other cuts that we use that I set aside, I want you to think about a few things. I want you to think about tartare. I want you to think about carpaccio. I want you to think about paillard of beef. I really want you to explore yourself, explore your creativity, and find ways of using that meat that's perfectly intended or suited to that meat. So this was the Senku strip, absolutely phenomenal. One of the greatest Wagyus on the planet. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm Chef Jacob Hilbert at Stock Hill in Kansas City, and we are in a proud partnership with Standard Meat Club. If you'd like to see what they have to offer, go to standardmeatclub.com and come check both of us out.